Matt, the sky is falling. Have you heard?
What's happened?
Oh, the minimum wage is going to go up.
Again?
Again, we're going to give more money to poor people and it's going to ruin the whole economy.
Not just for poor people, but also for rich people.
Poor people will wind up poorer and rich people will wind up poorer. Everyone's worse off if you help poor people. I read it in the papers.
So what's actually happened, Richard?
Well, the Fair Work Commission has given a 5.75% increase to minimum wage workers. All 2.7 million of them are going to get a 5.75% increase in wages, even though inflation's rising faster than that. It's going to be the end of the world, according to business groups.
So according to the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which are a business lobby group,
lobbies.
They have said an arbitrary increase of this magnitude consigns Australia to high inflation, mounting interest rates and fewer jobs.
Helping the poor doesn't help.
And they've predicted that this will increase the total wages bill by $12.7 billion, Richard.
Wow.
$12.7 billion.
A magnitude of 12.7 billion. That does sound big, except if you kind of knew anything about the Australian economy.
Yeah, so the Australian economy is what, $2.6 trillion?
That'd be 2,600 billions.
Yeah, so that's kind of like less than 0.5%.
Yeah, and is there anything else going on in Australia at the moment that might cost more than $12 billion?
Well, funny you should ask that. Next year, the stage 3 tax cuts.
I've heard of them. They go mainly to rich people.
Rich people.
Yeah.
$20.4 billion next year.
Will that cause inflation?
Well, ACCI don't seem to be that concerned. The business lobby don't seem to be concerned about that, even though it's almost twice as large as this increase.
So let me get this right. Give money to poor people, cause inflation.
Yep.
Give twice as much money to rich people, don't cause inflation.
That seems to be it.
What about profits, Matt? They've been going up a bit lately. Do they cause inflation?
Well, funny you should say that. They have been actually increasing quite a bit. If we take non-mining profits...
So just the profits of the non-mining companies, yeah?
Yeah, so why would we exclude mining?
Well, because if you talk about mining profits in Australia, people get very, very angry at you.
Apparently they're not part of the Australian economy anymore.
No, and when their profits go up, it's because the world price of coal and oil went up, and apparently that's just money that gets stuffed in their pocket.
They're forced to make those huge profits.
So even if we just put that to a side for a minute, brackets, we probably shouldn't, but let's just put it to the side. What's happened to profits in the non-mining sector, Matt?
Well, recent data by the ABS that's just been released show that just from their increased profit margin, last year they were up $110 billion.
So profit margins in the non-mining sector went up last year so much that they made a lazy 110 billion extra. And while the 12 billion that we're going to give to poor people might be inflationary, don't mention the profits. It's as if most of what passes for economic commentary in Australia is complete nonsense.
So what else might be happening around this time as well? That could be inflationary.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's $20 billion worth of stage 3 tax cuts coming in next year, and no one seems to be saying that's going to cause inflation.
So that's almost twice as much as this big increase in the wages bill.
So $12 billion wage increase for poor people, inflationary. $20 billion tax cut for rich people. Don't mention it.
No, not inflationary.
It's no accident we're told to worry about some things going up and not other things. But what was the term that the ACCI used? The magnitude. The magnitude of this wage rise. Well, let's put the magnitude into perspective. There are much bigger things going on in Australia than an increase in wages for those on the minimum wage. And strangely enough, some people don't want to talk about them.
If we're really worried about the inflation rate, then perhaps we should rein in the stage 3 tax cuts. Perhaps we should introduce price caps and competition policy to try and rein in corporate profits.
Crazy talk, Matt. Might actually lead to a redistribution in income from those with the most to those with the least.
And reduce inflation.
Never happened.